Hey, Facebook and YouTube, you guys are back. Good to see you guys again. Here's another episode of The Big Show, hosted by myself, Jimmy Smith. Alongside of me, as always, a friend of mine and the author and creator of Pissed Off Parent, Dwayne Ward, is in the house with me again. The Big Show podcast is a podcast where we discuss modern day issues about men, mostly things like dating, the hard truth about what makes a man, and all things that come around men. So let's go ahead and get this big show started. Dwayne, welcome to another Sunday episode of the show. What you doing, buddy?
I am glad to be here. Well, as I was mentioned to you off air, I am officially a bachelor. This point, the next few days. Yeah, the better half is in Vegas. Whoa, Vegas. My kids are actually just left to go to Missouri to go to a funeral. But anyway, a whole other topic there. As everyone knows, divorced my ex-wife's side of the family, and I heard about it and went ahead and said sure. Went ahead and took care of it all as guys do. So
so you feel comfortable, secure, and safe enough to let your wife go fly the friendly skies and go have a Vegas trip, huh?
Yes, I am secure in my manliness and our relationship and all that fun stuff. I know the whole, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas and all that stuff. It's one of those in a healthy relationship. This is not a big deal. That, and I'm assuming she'll be passed out at based on what she sent me earlier. She'll probably be passed out in about 20 minutes. So. She's already been the green one. That's her favorite drink because he's green mocha.
What, apple martini or something?
I think she's an apple martini Midori sours. That's what it is.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Fan, but she's a lightweight, and have fun, knock it out of the park, and all that, and. True to form, she'll be passed out in probably about 20, 30 minutes. So it's all good.
And is she there by herself? Did she go with friends?
Her sister is there with her. Her sister just graduated with her bachelor's degree. So there's a little celebratory thing. And then some of her friends. They're having a girls' weekend out for the couple days. And then when she gets back, she'll be reminded why she doesn't like to be around too many girls. So it's all good.
That's right.
I do that from time to time because, again, we're, happy, healthy, secure, and all that fun stuff. And, hey, knock yourself out, have fun. And then she goes out and she hangs around a bunch of girls. And then she comes back and she goes, yeah, I like being around guys better.
Did she happen to say anything about buying tickets to something called the Thunder from Down Under?
I hope she does. No, she did not mention that at all, actually. There's a weather advisory, hurricane, whatever. So they're going to stay down in the casino area at whatever resort they're at, and do their thing there. But I'm like, knock yourself out, have fun,
go have some fun. Yeah. So today's an interesting, or this week actually is a very interesting week for Dad Talk Today podcast, Talk Today show and channel. I know that you and Eric are going to be really, really busy this week because we have the John Mash trial happening this week. You want to tell everyone about that?
Yeah, so we actually did a live a response, or not a response, but we did the video yesterday. Dad Talk Today produced a video a few years ago where a gentleman and I get the states messed up because it does kind of bounce around a little bit. Actually, watch the documentary and it'll give you some updates. But I had a gentleman, John Mast, who was being alienated from his children. Had the silver bullet thrown at him. He was actually able to successfully beat that over time, was going to finally be able to see his children. And that evening that he was going to do that, his ex-father-in-law allegedly, we have to say the word allegedly, shot him 3 times and killed him at the drop-off spot. Unfortunately, and the trial has been delayed for a number of reasons. But on Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central on Dad Talk Today, the links are coming here shortly. They'll be. Eric was one of the few, I think it was a total of 3, but one of the only equal shared parenting groups that is going to be able to televise and record the court proceedings there. So I mean, it's a huge thing for Dad Talk Today to have that kind of street cred They know. I mean, the courts know who we are and what we're doing and why we're doing it, and they have agreed to allow us to televise the.
And that's a big deal because with the way the state is today, I'm really surprised you guys got the authority or the authorization.
I'll be honest, yeah, because there's been a few challenges in for that case in particular, being able to get access to the judge and to do the things to really kind of show what's happening. And really, all we're wanting to do is what is happening behind not behind the scenes, but what's happening in the court case, because you have the whole he said, she said. We all know about the Amber. I'll be nice and say Amber Heard. In Johnny Depp trial. I think that if it had not been televised the way it was, people could have pulled, because the majority of the people did support Johnny Depp once they got the information, but there's still Amber Heard supporters out there, and everyone got to see it essentially real time, what really was said and done and who abused who, and all that stuff in there, and they were able to form their own conclusions versus someone coming out of the court case saying, oh yeah, this happened or that happened, because you're always going to get a version of the truth depending upon that person's bias. It really lifted the cover on male abuse. I mean, men being verbally, physically, and mentally abused, because we always think about it one way. Right. This case will be another, I hate to say it, example. And there's Julie in there.
Jules.
Jules. She love her to death. She's always the I stand with John tagline that she put in there. Let me pop that up there for everybody. We're wanting actually for everyone to post that pound I stand with John. Oh boy, hashtag. There we go. I'm an old man. I can't remember all of them. That was a pound sign back in my day.
It was, yes.
But that gets the algorithm, gets everybody, gets it out there, because we want the world to know what happened. We're wanting to see justice served. This trial Tuesday is that murder trial where allegedly the ex-father is the one that shot John Massey, is going to pick his kids up, and hopefully justice will be done.
Yeah. So Eric's going to fly out tomorrow morning to Utah, and he'll be there live all week while the trial's in session. He's got his gear set up. He's got everything he kind of needs to go ahead and report live from this event. So if you guys are out there and you're on the internet this week, make sure you tune in to Eric. He'll be streaming live throughout the day from Tuesday to probably about Thursday. We don't expect the trial to last all that long. It seems like kind of a cut and dry case here. But you know how court cases go sometimes. But, it's a really big deal for Dad Talk, today to be allowed in there, and, it's something that doesn't happen very often. It's something that I'm happy to see, because there's usually a lot of, pushback on when media wants to present their side, especially when the courts have an idea of what side that media outlet might be leaning on.
Right.
So it's a really big deal for Eric Carroll in the show. So you guys do what you can to support him. It'll be starting Tuesday in the morning time. And I don't know how long it's going to go. I guess that's going to determine how the day goes, but it's going to be for a few days, right?
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it's at least a week. It may go longer, just depending upon what the defense brings up. I mean, the prosecution's pretty straightforward. But it depends on what the defense does or kind of where this goes. But yeah, we're looking at roughly a week. But yeah, and if anyone feels compelled to, if you go to the John Mass Foundation, I think it's johnfoundation.com, you can review some information there. If you go to the John Mass Foundation Facebook page, you can read about the diary. You can read kind of some of the events that led up to it if you're trying to get some information on that. But this is one, this is one that I really everyone should rally around. Everyone that's in the equal shared parenting community, that includes the Big Show and all the different groups, because this, in a lot of ways, this will be kind of like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing. I mean, obviously not on the same scale. I mean, they weren't famous actors and actresses, but it's going to have probably the same impact, that because I know we're kind of going off track here. These custody exchange deletions are happening more and more and more. I have a little bit of anecdotal information or data on it, and I have some statistical data. But as the court system gets worse and worse and worse, this is what's happening more and more.
Yeah.
And it needs to get out there, as we talked about yesterday. And I think everyone knows our judiciary and the legislative branch could care less. Again, you mess with their Title 4D funding and the $60 billion a year industry, they just don't care. The only way it's going to change is if 1 million, 2 million, whatever, force the legislative session or the legislators and the judiciary to make the appropriate changes. Because again, if we had equal shared parenting, I assume most of these would go away. There's always going to be the crackpot out there, but if we had equal shared parenting, parents had access to their children, they wouldn't. I mean, obviously, going to be the pain of the divorce or separation or whatever, but they're not going to go to this last resort of the custody exchange. They're so angry at their ex for destroying their life, removing them. They can't see their kids and all that. They need to work on mitigating that happening. And hopefully this case, if enough people get behind it and watch it, and the algorithm gets it out there to larger areas, maybe some other news stations, mainstream media will pick it up and start talking about it, and maybe something will happen. I mean,
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, because for a long time now, guys' voices have not been really heard, and it's nice to see that it's slowly starting to gain a little bit of traction. Yeah. And this entire channel, right? I mean, this entire channel has been basically here to advocate for men's rights and advocate for men. It's not a channel to downgrade or downplay women. It's really to uplift men. And even the Big Show podcast was started and thought about and put together because a lot of the things that Eric and yourself talk about are things that are challenging and tough that has happened to men, kind of like the reactive part of what happens in a man's life. And the Big Show podcast was thought of and put together on purpose to be the opposite end of that spectrum. What can guys do? What can guys be looking for in order to attract, attain, and retain the best quality of woman that they can, and hopefully to avoid having a lot of these things happen to these men, right? Because a John Mass story is a story where, he went out, found himself a woman, fell in love with her. She fell in love with him. Things started to go south. The whole custody court thing started happening. Parental alienation came into play. A lot of guys know about that. And then, she tried to, lie and say that he hit her. She tried to lie and say that he was touching his kids inappropriately. And case after case, this poor guy was put through the ringer. And she even tried to present evidence in the form of a videotape to show that there was no physical abuse, right? And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, there is when they finally went to court, they didn't have the appropriate recorder to play whatever tape or CD that he had. And so they just dismissed it, made a decision based off of that information not being there. Am I right by that?
It's actually a little worse than that. What had happened was him and his wife went out to dinner one night, and she claims that he physically abused her, and charged him with that. And he went to court, and he was able to find a tape of where it happened. That they had security cameras, and when he went to court, the judge said, "I don't have anything here that can play it, so it's not going to be admitted in, and you should go ahead and plead guilty to the charges, and move on through life." And that's the part that kind of. That's when I talk about the judiciary doesn't care. That's an example of what I'm talking about. They don't care. And then you have the woman in this case, knowing that she's going to ruin this guy's life and she's okay with it. This guy actually, he pled guilty because he just wanted to see his kids. I mean, how many people, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard where that's happened. They just want to see their kids and they're willing to sign whatever it takes in order to see their kids. And then they get thrown in jail and felonies and all that put against them. But then after he was exonerated for that one incident, nothing happened to her. And, I think we talked about that a little bit. Actually, you were mentioning yesterday, there was no penalty for lying.
Right.
And when then, as the divorce initiated and continued on, then the silver bullet accusations came in the form of inappropriately touching the children. And he not only he of course said he didn't do it. He took two different tests, two different types of tests, and he scored like the lowest number they'd ever seen. It was like a freaky level of low on the abuse or child whatever scale, like
beyond. The lie detector test.
And well, there was the polygraph, where he aced the polygraph, but there was this other test that they gave him that it determines your penchant for children. I mean, I can't figure out a better way of saying that. And they said he scored like it was a freaky low level on that scale. Like it almost like it didn't work right, kind of thing, because it was so low, which is a good thing just for everyone out there.
Right.
And there were no. And then after he was exonerated, it took like a full 6-8 months or whatever to even get the date to then go see his kids, to get a time out of it. And then on top of everything else, she did not get in any trouble for lying.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't understand what world we live in.
And that goes into the kind of the topic of today: types of people all men should avoid. If a person, and we can use in a lot of these men and women synonymously. That these are the types of people that should be avoided. People that lie, people that, I'm sure you have your data and your all that, but kind of jumping right into it. It's like, if someone lies to you, get the hell away from them. But
yeah,
I don't want to steal your thunder.
And no, it's quite all right. And everything you're saying is absolutely dead on. And, I could even go as far as saying that, yes, you're right. Both of these things can be, this topic today could be talked about for both men and both women, but today it's a little more directed towards the men. And the reason why I say that is because, men have it pretty challenging in the world, because the world is very honest with men. Like we talked about, men are expected to be very productive. Women are not picked by men on their productivity. They're not picked by men on how much money they make, their status, their social net worth or network. But men are picked on their ambition, their charisma, their how much money they have, the kind of job they have, their social status, their network, and their net worth. So there's a big pressure on men to get out there and compete, and there's a big pressure on men to get out there and perform, because if they don't perform, the bottom half of men don't get a chance to meet a lot of these women out there.
Normally 90-95% don't. They're invisible.
The amount of 30-year-old virgins is starting to grow, and there's a lot of men out there who are trying to actively date and express their frustrations, but then there's an equal amount of dating age appropriate men who just go, what, the juice ain't worth the squeeze, and they're not even trying to find them, right? So what I've seen, I guess, is, as a, masculinity coach, as someone who tried to help people with relationships and help men, I get a lot of questions, and I try to help a lot of men kind of follow their purpose and level up in life. And what I've noticed, Dwayne, is that a lot of the things that they need help with are things to get on the grind, they get a little bit of spark, a little kick in the rear end, get back in the gym, get back, on the business they're trying to build. But I tell you, man, I'll be honest, sitting on this side of the table, it frustrates me a little bit whenever I'm asking for feedback from these guys, and the overwhelming large amount of questions that I keep getting asked is about women. And I'm like, listen, we need to put the women aside right now. You've got to do all these things before you should be out there starting with women, especially if you're in your 20s. Listen, if you're in your 20s, put your head down, work 2 jobs, work 60 hours a week, build your network, start, surrounding yourself with the right types of people. And then when you start getting into your 30s and you have some traction under you got yourself a career you're building, then, you can start looking towards women, you can start looking towards marriage, things like that. But I put together today a list of things that I get asked a lot. One of the biggest common denominators, Dwayne, that I found in either the guys who are extremely successful and also the guys who are extremely unsuccessful, the correlation that I see there, I oftentimes ask these guys, tell me about your best friend. Tell me about the group you're running with. Because if anyone has been on this planet more than 25 years, you guys know dead on that the people that you associate yourself with will become the kind of person that you are.
Right.
If you want to be a negative Nancy, hang around negative Nancys, you'll become one. If you want to be a pot smoking, drug taking loser, man, just start hanging around people who do drugs all day. You'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
And on the other end, if you want to be a kind of guy who talks about building net worth and building a business, well, then start hanging around a bunch of people, men or women, who only think and talk about building businesses. They bounce ideas off of each other. They shoot holes in each other's ideas like Swiss cheese, not to downplay, but to go, hey, but have you thought about this? Oh, I never thought about this. Well, try this. Call this guy. I have a guy who does this. I have a guy who does that. And they build themselves up. You know, by now, you've likely heard the saying that you're only really as good as the company that you keep. And those that are around you have an effort on you or effect on you and your life, not to mention those who you choose to associate yourself with. It speaks volumes about what you stand for and what you value. And when you have the wrong people around you, their bad behavior can and will eventually rub off on you. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about on today's episode of The Big Show. On today's podcast, I'm going to talk to you guys about a few types of people that you definitely want to avoid. These types of people, they can have a negative effect on you and your life's outcomes. And life is certainly hard enough on its own. You guys don't need any additional degree of difficulty to add to it, right? So without any further delay, let's just jump right into it, Dwayne. First up on the list of the type of people that you definitely want to avoid having in your life and to stay away from people who are overly negative.
Oh, God.
Stay away from people who are overly negative. You know, here's the thing. When you're around someone who is constantly negative, their attitude is going to rub off on you, and you're going to find yourself being less optimistic. People around you that are constantly negative actually drain your energy and they stun your growth.
Yep.
You might notice that when you're hanging around people that have a cup half empty attitude, it'll bleed into your life. And another thing you often see from negative people that you have in your life is that they often offer negative reinforcement on the things that you do. So the things that you're not sure about, the things that you're having problems with, they'll agree there's something wrong. So if you want to grow, if you want to be optimistic, if you want to chase your dreams, it definitely helps to avoid negative people. So when I go down this list, folks, of people that you want to avoid, here's what I want you guys to do, okay? I want you to take a mental note or maybe even a written one. And when I rattle off these people who have these traits, I want you to think about the 3 to 5 people that you have chosen to be in your inner circle. I'm not talking about the people you keep at arm's length. The people that you talk to multiple times a week, the people you have beers with, the people that you associate yourself with, the people that you're around. If you start seeing some of these traits in them, you're going to have to start taking a mental note on whether or not you should keep them around. Another one that you want to make sure you stay away from is people who play the perpetual victim.
Oh, God.
Victim type of people.
Yes.
Listen, you know the woe is me type. You know it.
Yeah.
Please make sure you're staying away from these people who think that the world is against them. Everything bad happens to them. They have no hope, blah, 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 blah. You know, you see it when you're around a person who always feels like they're always the victim. It's draining, and they don't see a reason to try to get any better. And this will eventually bleed into your lifestyle as well. The person who plays the perpetual victims wallows in negativity. They wallow in sadness. They are constantly feeling sorry for themselves. You don't need to be around this type of person, and because they take no accountability and they always make excuses for why they are where they're at.
Someone else's fault every time.
It's always, man. And I tell you, and some of them are smart. They're not dumb people. Some of them are so smart that whenever they talk about what they've been going through, it's very convincing. You're like, well, this guy had a pretty bad shake, and maybe there's some truth to it. Not saying that they're lying. All I'm saying is find me a person out there in the world. Find me one person that doesn't have a tough life.
Yeah.
Find me one person who doesn't have a shit family or people that, treated them bad or a bad shake in life. Look,
Yeah.
I have said this many times. When people start to bring negativity around to me, I don't necessarily just go, hey, get on out of my face. But what I'll say to them is instead of thinking about all the bad things, start thinking about things you can be grateful for. Because trust me, folks, if you had an opportunity to put all your problems on the table for everyone to see, and everyone else at the table was able to put all their problems on the table for all of you guys to see, you'd be happy to take your problems back.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people are out there with they've had a bad shake. And when you look at yours, you go, you know what? Fair. All right. It's not quite the starting point I wanted, but man, I got it better than that guy. I got it better than that gal. Don't be around negative people. It's just negative energy. And you'll notice that this type of person can always identify problems, but can never come up with the solutions to fix them. Do yourself a favor and stay away from negative people. Another one, next up on the list of the type of guys that you usually don't want to hang around with. I'm here to tell you, okay, we do this just as much as the ladies do. It's just not as noticeable sometimes. Make sure you stay away from those who constantly gossip.
Yeah.
Ladies do that a little bit more than us, but trust me, the problem with people that are gossiping are that they're not usually gossiping about positive things. Gossiping people focus on negative outcomes in other people's lives. They're not spreading good news. It's usually bad news. And you'll notice that a person who gossips a lot takes pleasure in other people's misfortunes. They're not out there bragging and promoting all the positive things. They're almost happy to report what shit show Dan and Lucy went through. You don't want to be around that person. But here's what I need you guys to think about, okay? This gossiping person will also talk about you when you're not around. And they'll love to see you fail. And most of the time, a person who gossips a lot focuses on other people's weaknesses so that way they don't have to face their own weaknesses.
Right.
One of my favorite quotes was from Eleanor Roosevelt. And the quote goes, "Great people discuss ideas. Average people discuss events, and small-minded people discuss other people." So whenever I talk about staying away from gossipers, they're the ones to talk about people. When I talk about building yourself around like-minded people who are going to help you build, they're the ones to discuss ideas. You see what I'm saying here? So stay away from those three types of people. Next up on the list is a person you want to avoid because they are a big drain on you and your energy. Try to stay away from people that are overly needy. Overly needy. The thing about those people that are overly needy is that they engage in relationships that aren't reciprocal. Never go for a lose-lose. Always at least go for a win-lose. There's no win in being around someone who's overly needy because they're going to just drain you. Okay, they're going to drain your energy. Stay away from them, and you'll notice that you'll do all the giving and receive none of the receiving from this type of person. You'll find yourself in a very unbalanced relationship, and that's not healthy for you. And like I mentioned, you don't want to enter into those kinds of relationships.
Yeah.
This is a great way to get taken advantage of. This is a great way of getting drained. And I'm not just talking about the people who need things from you. If you are around overly needy people too long, it'll begin to alter how you interact with other people as well. You'll begin to develop this habit of always giving to everyone that you meet. Your energy will eventually radiate to let other needy people know that that you could be used as their place to vent. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a person that others go to in need. So hear me out.
All right.
I'm talking about you being this person, but that's never getting anything in return. That's what I'm talking about. Don't be someone's fool. Don't allow the world to constantly use you to dump their negative energy on. So what can be even worse about this too is that a lot of needy people are those that have that they always want to vent. They always have problems. You're always the person that they lean on to get their things out. But they don't have any time for your problems. That's my issue with them. You don't want to have someone in life who takes and drains you of all your energy. Have people in your life that are going to give you as much as they take. Look to surround yourself with friends that are reciprocal and they give back to you in your time of need.
Yep.
You got any people that are in your life that fit that description?
Oh gosh, which ones? Yeah, I mean the draining thing is right, because and like you help and help and help, and all you do is you get criticized. Everything you say, they find like one little way that it could not be accurate. They want to argue with you about it. And then I have people that they're needy. They got to have help. But then when you go to them for help, they can't be found. They couldn't be bothered. It's just ridiculous. And you got to unfortunately insulate yourself from those people. And then you have, let's talk about Eric for a second. This guy, in the show yesterday, he was talking about he drove like 4,700 miles. He's done this. He did that. He has been like, people would get mad at him because it didn't stop what he was doing and help them on their personal case. He gets called, a name, or he's hypocritical, or he lies or whatever. And that's draining. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, Pissed Off Parent kind of went through its thing where stopped doing it and then slowly, or doing it at a much lower amount, is you put yourself out there, you do all these things, and then it's not good enough and they want more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just got to get to that point where you're like, these are my boundaries. This is, I'm going to stop here. And that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. And there's, so many things behind the scenes that I could talk about, but won't. People need to, establish boundaries when dealing with certain people. It's good to help people out. It's good to, do things for the right reasons, but there are people that will seek you out and drain you emotionally, financially. Those bad people, you need to stay away from them.
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned before, life is hard enough as it is, Picture yourself kind of hiking up this steep mountain, and that mountain represents life. The last thing in the world you want to do is have a bunch of people laying prone on the ground, grabbing a hold of your ankle as you're trying to drag them up this mountain with you, Mm-hmm. Another one too, and I think that a lot of us will be around this type of person a little more in our younger years. And when we get older, we tend to just go, hey, I don't have time for this crap. Is you really want to make sure that you stay away from people that are overly temperamental. Do your best to stay away from people that are, that have a short fuse.
They have extremes.
The guy that is quick to anger, loses his cool, things like that. Like I mentioned, when you were younger, it might have been the guy who's always getting into fights. Like every time you guys go out, there's always one guy who just always gets into a fight. You always it's fun when you're 18. It's fun when you're 20. But when you start getting into your latter 20s, it's like, look, man, I can't be, kicked out of places and looked at a certain way, or go to jail over, the fact that you want to fly off of the mouth every time someone looks at you wrong, So, don't get me wrong. I'm not just referring to guys who anger quickly. I'm also talking about anyone whose temperament changes from minute to minute. The problem with this type of person, they're all over the place. There's no emotional discipline there,
Right.
So, and the problem with, temperamental men is that this type of person, they bring unnecessary stress and tension into your life, right? Unnecessarily drama into your life. You don't need that. I mean, you'll notice you're in an environment where you'll feel like you have to walk on eggshells every time you're around this person. And, we all deal with a full range of human emotions. We're not robots. We all have them. But the people that you want around you are those who can process these emotions and act on them in a rational fashion. And one of the huge problems with overly temperamental people you'll often see is that they drag you into their life's BS.
Yeah.
Misery loves company, man. They'll drag you right into all the shitstorm that they got going on, and you don't want that. If you want peace if you want calm in your life, then do your best to stay away from overly temperamental people. Okay. Next up on the list is the type of person you don't want in your life, because this bad habit can actually bleed into yours. By the way, guys, I see you guys making comments. As always, I'd love to hear your input. Let us know in the comment section if there's any, that there's some personality traits in people that other men should avoid and that I might have left off on the list, because, everyone kind of needs to rally around and help each other out on this stuff. The next one, and Dwayne, this one might be the most important piece of advice today, because of how challenging it is for guys to get the goal to and remain on their purpose. Stay away from lazy people. Lazy people often have no sense of purpose. They make a bunch of excuses and they suffer in the areas of productivity, and that is going to bleed easily into your life. Okay. Even if they don't influence you to become lazier, even if you're able to put them at bay, you at least will notice that in these types of relationships, you'll be pulling more of the weight, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member. Their 20% effort will often lead to you having to put 80% of effort in, and no one wants to do that. So from time to time, we all are going to slack a little bit. I'm guilty of it. Dwayne's guilty of it. We're all human, okay?
Yeah.
But if you are around a slacker, it's much easier to find yourself putting off important things in replacement of more fun things. So the more you surround yourself with people that are on their purpose and that have drive and ambition, the more they will bleed into your life. So stay away from lazy people.
Yes.
And this world that we live in, Dwayne, it's so full of like pleasures, and pleasures can come in the form of alcohol, pornography, can form in food. It can come in the form of drugs. It can come in the form of, video games. I'm not here to tell people what they should and should not do. What I'm here to say is that life is all about playing the odds, rolling the dice, putting yourself in the best position to win. Right. And with a little bit of luck, you'll be all right. It's not hard to know that if you just stay away from alcohol too much, if you just stay away from drugs too much, that the chances are 1 million people who don't do drugs compared to 1 million people who do, you'll clearly see that the people who don't have a much higher chance of success than those who do. I'm not saying that you can't if you do them. I'm just saying, hey, man, if there's not a win-lose in this, if there's no potential win, then why are you entering into something? And the answer to that question is often because it's an escape from the reality that is my life. That is the shit show that I'm pushing through. So it's a pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain kind of a thing. Be careful, because whenever you're around lazy people, they will give you all the reasons and talk you into indulging in some of the pleasurable things in life. Now, match that up with the guys and gals that you hang around with that are just winners in life. Okay, the people who hold you accountable, the people that really want you to win. If you do a whole lot of drinking, those guys will tell you, hey, man, honestly, bro, you drink too much, man. You're going to go out drinking again this weekend? We just had beers last. No. Listen, this weekend, we're going to go play some golf instead of drinking. You got to stop drinking at the bar all day. Like, these guys are going to push you to do more positive things and less, pleasurable things. So get rid of lazy people. Well, next on the list.
But let's just use weightlifting, be an easy one. Yeah. Do you want your trainer to be like, dude, go, do it. Okay, let's back off a little bit because you might hurt yourself. Or do you want the guy that goes, you know what? If you don't feel up to it, just don't worry about it. Who's the guy that's going to bulk up and get to his end goals? The guy that listens to the trainer that's going to push them and be their accountability partner and do that, or the guy's like, don't show up today. Are you going to achieve your goals in that year, 10 year, whatever, which guy do you want to pay attention to?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're around, okay, let's just be real here. You want to get in the tip top condition. Do you want Jimmy as your accountability partner in the gym, or do you want this old fat ass? Because I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's go to McDonald's. Let's do it. Let's DoorDash. Not even go out and do it. At the end of the year,
and I'll be like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. It's 5:02. Where the hell are you?
You'll be up in their business. I'm like, we'll show up whenever. I'll show up with a beer in one hand, a burger in the other. Like, what up? But look what's going to end up happening. I mean, who do you want to surround yourself with when it comes to at least that one? We're going to assume you're going to want the Jimmys of the world, the guys that are going to kick your butt, hold you accountable, and push you to be the best you can be. You're not going to want the me of the world that's going to be like, buy a transformer. It's although there's probably someone out there going, I like this Dwayne guy.
Transformers are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Your point's definitely well taken, and guys, I can walk into any gym on this planet and go arms, legs, back, butt, shoulders, abs. I know all the machines. I know all the moves. I've done it. I've been in fitness for over 20 years. It's not something that's new to me. However, I still, from time to time, get a personal trainer. Now, why would I get a personal trainer? The likeliness is that this trainer probably has been a trainer for 5 years, 4 years, maybe if I'm lucky, 10 years. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I have more experience. I've trained trainers. I've hired, trained, and recruited personal trainers. Why would I get a personal trainer? Well, the answer is accountability and discipline.
And you learn something.
Exactly. I want, when I pay a guy or a gal to be my trainer and we decide on 5 p.m. the training time, it's not 5:05. It's not 5:10. I've got to get my lazy butt up, grab my stuff, and be there at 4:45, 15 minutes to stretch. So that way at 5 o'clock, we're hitting the weights. So there's an accountability there. That's why anytime people ask me or tell me that they're going to start a goal, something that's challenging, something that's meaningful, I tell them to let 5 people know what they're going to do. So let's say that you decide that you want to finally quit smoking. You want to finally quit drinking. Tell 5 people that you know, like, and trust what your goal is. Now, why would I say that? Why would I say tell 5 people? Because when you open your mouth and you declare that I'm going to do A, B, and C, now it becomes real. And those 5 people, especially assuming that they're good stand-up people that you have chosen, they're going to hold you accountable. I know a guy, friend of mine at work. He was going through some problems with his wife. And he came in and he was just all shook up. I could see it all over his face. I pulled him aside. I said, hey, bro, I can tell something's going on, man. What you need? What can I do to help you? What's happening? What's going on? Man, I don't want to talk about it. No. Come on. What's going on? I know there's something wrong. He tells me a story about him and his wife having this big fallout. Not going to get too much into it, but he comes out and I ask him a few questions, but why would you have said that to her? Why? I don't understand. Why did you decide to do it that way? And he came out and he finally admitted, hey, man, I drink too much. And I was drunk, and this is another episode, and I promised her I would do this. And that came out, and I said, hey, I never knew. When we were done talking, he declared to me that he wanted to fix his relationship. So I gave him advice on what he should do when his wife comes home, the conversation that he should have, the humbleness and humility that he should portray. But I told him, I said, even if you get her back and she comes back to you, none of this matters if you still drink, because it's only a matter of time before you're right back in this shitstorm again. The common denominator in all your guys' problems is your drinking. So I can help put a Band-Aid on this bullet wound for you. I'll give you all the talking points and good silver tongue words to say, but it's going to go right out the window, because if you can't stop drinking, my friend, none of this freaking matters. So what are we going to do about the drinking? And he told me that he was going to stop drinking. And I said, I want you to tell your son that. I want you to tell your father that. And I want you to tell 2 other people that. And he did. And the outcome is that he has cut down his drinking to about 5% of what it was.
Okay.
It's not 100%. whenever he goes out, and like he went on vacation last week and on a cruise, so he got the drink pass. Hey, cool. You're on vacation, have a good time. But when you come back and it's starting to, you got to get back to conquering the world, you're done, man. You're cut off. So that's kind of an idea or a tip that I would say to people is find someone that can hold yourself accountable.
Oh yeah.
Trust me when I say that if your friends are lazy, they're not the ones that are going to help you hold yourself accountable. They're going to want you to be the woe is me and talk about all the reasons why you should be pissed off and why
someone else's fault.
Yeah, it's always someone else's fault. It's the economy, it's the president, it's the whatever. Look, some of that stuff is beyond our control, guys. Okay, fix what you can fix in your inner circle. Stop worrying about all the stuff that you can't fix or control. So let's move on. Next up on the list of the type of person who exhibits traits that drive a lot of people crazy are people who are self-absorbed. Stay away from people that are self-absorbed, man. And that's the egotistical guy,
yep.
The self-absorbed dude that's always concerned about himself. Look, they have little to no interest in what's going on in your life or other people's life either. Yeah. Self-absorbed people lack empathy. They lack compassion, and everything is slandered to make sure that they have the best outcome. And you'll often notice that the self-absorbed person will steal your energy and also try to steal your shine. Yeah. If they're self-absorbed and you do something great, you better damn well know that it's because of that guy. He's going to let everyone know it was his idea and Dwayne did it. And I helped Dwayne.
He's the one that got you there. Yeah.
He's the one. It's because of him. Just, man, avoid those kinds of people. If you find yourself hanging around a self-absorbed person, then you'll notice that you'll often get the short end of the stick, man. So it's not as bad as some of the other traits that we talked about today. But if you're trying to, split hairs and you got someone who is, a little more self-absorbed, have a conversation with the person or just cut them out of their life altogether. Let's go to the comments section. We got anybody talking some good stuff here? What we got?
Well, I'm gonna jump on Aaron's comment, and there's a fine line between confidence and being egotistical, and just to firm up. And again, Jimmy, you disagree with me if you think I'm going the wrong way on this one, but confidence. Actually, you want to be around people that are confident. That's kind of the goals that you're going for, and I think Jimmy's talking more to the egotistical. It's all about me. If I were to somehow lose weight. Or got into shape or healthy, if Jimmy came on here and said, yeah, I'm the reason it happened, I'm the only reason it happened, that would be egotistical. You want to be around people that, if I magically did lose weight or got healthy, Jimmy would say, great job, man. You really put the time in. You got it done. Rah, rah, smack me on the butt and move me on about my day. That's the people you want to be around. You don't want to be around the people who are like, I'm the reason this happened. If a person gets their degree, well, they're I'm the reason this happened. If a person, I'm trying to think of all these different examples without giving personal ones, because people are like, I know that situation. But people that are, it's always about them. Okay, if let's say I was talking with Jimmy, and I'm like, let's do it my way. And I'm like, dude, me and my girl were having some issues, blah, 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 blah. And then in almost mid-sentence, Jimmy goes, well, let me tell you about my girl. And then spends the next half hour yakking about, an issue he's having. That, it's always, when I talk about, or when I was interpreting what you were saying, that's one of the examples is they always make it about them. You can't have a mutual conversation. It's got to be about them. They did everything. They're the star of every freaking thing that happens. And I need to get pulled back here because I start getting animated. But it's always got to be about them. Nobody else.
Yeah. Aaron's got a good point. Aaron always, spits good knowledge out there. Mm-hmm. Guys, let me give you some advice that's a little controversial. Being a man, it requires a lot out of us. It requires ambition. It requires forethinking. It requires good decision making. It requires, to Aaron's point, confidence. Now, he's right. Aaron's right. There is a thin line between confidence and egotistical, confidence and cockiness. And I'm going to be transparent here. Sometimes I tap dance on that line. And that is one of the things I have to work on is sometimes my humbleness and humility. And I think, and I've certainly come a long ways because in my 20s, I was a cocky jerk. Okay. I've life has done a pretty damn good job of humbling my ass pretty good. But I want you guys to understand this, okay? Confidence oftentimes comes in the form of someone doing something constantly, and gaining a favorable result. If I was a basketball player and I was at the free throw line and I took 10,000 free throw shots and I just shoot free throws all the time and my free throw percentage is 95%, do you think I'd be confident about that? Yeah. Is that cockiness? No. I put the time in. I put the work in. If you're trying to play golf and you have a golf instructor and you go out there every weekend for five years and you're hitting golf balls constantly, you're going to build a confidence up there. And I'm going to say something controversial, guys. I don't see anything wrong with thinking that you're the effing man sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I think that you should go through life and you should walk into a room with this aura that you're the damn man. You're the freaking man. Because if you put the work in and if you built yourself and you built your business or you build your personal infrastructure, your wealth, whatever, man, fill in the blank. If you put the hard work in, you are the effing man because you did something that a whole bunch of people wish they could, wish they would, but didn't do it. So yes, I will walk into a room and you know that I walk into a room and it's not because I'm tall. It's because I'm confident. I walk into a room and I'm not worried about blending in or getting along with that group over there or that group over there. Right. I don't care what your political forethinking is. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what your age is. I don't care what your sex is. I'm going to get along with everyone. I get along with everybody because I'm a good communicator. I've studied and honed this skill. And another great thing, and this is why I keep telling you guys, go to the freaking gym, get in shape. Because when you walk into a building and you dress good and you smell good and you look good, people can see your discipline.
Right.
Whenever I get dressed up and I walk into a room, they can see my discipline. I don't even have to say it. They see it right there because there's a very small percentage of people, men and women, who put the work in to develop themselves a good physique. And when they walk into the room, hell, let's do it the other way. Let's say that you are unfortunately morbidly obese. You walk into a room, they can see your lack of discipline. They can see your lack of discipline. Now, you guys can think of whatever it is you want to think. Here's my thought, okay? I think that if you are the kind of man or woman that is dedicated and disciplined enough to eat right when in times that you don't want to, go to the gym on times that you're tired, and you develop yourself a body that is, other people would envy, you're likely to be that way in other facets of your life as well. You're likely to be disciplined in all the other aspects. Just like if we're all hanging out and I get into your car and I'm in your passenger seat and the car is filthy with bags of fast food and cigarette butts or just
that happened one time. Come on,
man.
One
it was
time.
All that Burger King, Dwayne. But and I'm not talking about the junk eating. I'm just saying, let's just say your car is dirty. The chances are, not in all cases, but the chances are, do you think their house is probably the same? Do you think their hygiene's probably the same? Do you think that they are organized and methodical about their work, but their car is trash? Chances are they're not. It all blends into everything. So I'm not 100% sure about this, but the guys, or I should say the people who are motivational speakers, I've heard a lot of them tell you the first thing you should do when you wake up is get one win and make your bed. It's about the discipline of making your bed and getting a win. When your bed is done and your dishes are done, you're a lot less likely to put a dish in an empty sink. But if the damn thing is filled with dishes, throw another one in there. Who freaking cares?
Right.
So Aaron, I'm with you, man. He says, let's pull up Aaron's last one. He says, I'm the opposite. I have always been afraid of being cocky, so I tend to dance too far from the line. Hey, man, I get it. And I'm kind of that way as well. You're right. There's a line between cockiness and confidence. And when it comes to egotistical behavior, I think Dwayne spelled it out pretty good. It's okay being confident. It's okay being assertive and taking the lead and taking charge. At the end of the day, though, if you live under humility and humbleness, if you truly want other people to succeed, like when someone says, Jimmy, guess what I did? What'd you do, man? I did A, B, and C. I do not talk about what I did. I do not talk about what I've done. I'm not trying to upstage them. I'm trying to high five them. And I go, man, awesome. Awesome job, bro. What's next? What are you going to do next? Hey, that sounds like a great goal. I'm very proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. So if you guys can do that, you'll drift so far away from egotistical, no one will even think that it won't even be on anyone's radar. I see a B from O on there. B, what's up, buddy? Yeah. Hey, everyone. I've been driving and listening. Totally agree with all those types that described. Clover's on again. Many short fuses have borderline personality. Ain't that the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yep. Good stuff. All right. So let's bring this back here. Let's continue. All right. So Dwayne actually alluded to this next one. Now, this next type of person, Dwayne, it can definitely do damage in your life. So do your best to identify and stay away from people who are constantly critical of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We've all been down that road. Oh. I mean, always criticizing you, everything you say, everything you do. Now, here's the thing. We can all use constructive criticism from time to time.
Right. Yep.
But with the overly critical person, what you'll notice is nothing that you do will ever be good enough. They pick apart everything you do. No matter what you do, they'll always find ways to never be impressed.
Yeah.
And the thing about this overly critical person is that they usually will have low self-esteem and a lot of insecurities, thus projecting their insecurities onto you. Oh, yeah. So guys, here's the thing. You want people in your life who will hold you accountable, like we said, who will offer constructive criticism, like we talked about. Mm-hmm. But to a limit, the criticism needs to be to a limit. Eventually, the criticism is just nothing more than tearing you down, and no one needs someone that's always picking them apart. So listening to a lot of these guys and women, this again, a lot of this stuff goes both ways, men and women.
Yeah.
You know what hurts the most about these types of people is many of you that are listening on Facebook right now, listening on YouTube, and thinking to yourself, who are the most critical people in my life? You're kind of taking note. Some of you guys have come to the unfortunate realization that the most critical people in your life are the ones that are in your family.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, some of them are even your very own parents. And that hurts, man. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to swallow. It hurts. The two people who are supposed to be the ones encouraging you the most are the ones who are ironically hurting you the most. Mm-hmm. If this is you, you'll have to address this, because if it were a friend who was overly critical, well, then you can just erase them from your life if you wanted to. But when it's a parent, it's not quite that easy, is it? Dwayne's like, well, I mean, I've done it. Dwayne's done it. I mean, it's much harder to erase a family member from your life than it is a friend, because Thanksgiving tastes a little different when there's strife amongst the family, you know? And in these situations, you'll have to have tough conversations with them to let them know how they're coming across and how it's affecting you. Boundaries. And guys, no doubt they will tell you that it's because they simply want the best for you. We know what they're going to say. They're going to wrap it around in some velvet rope that says, the only reason why I'm saying this, Jimmy, Dwayne, because I simply want the best for you, baby. I just want the best for you.
Yeah.
And they're going to wrap it up in some righteous story about tough love, etc., blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Look, explain to them that even if they have the best intentions, that it's not being received as such. And then offer a better way of handling it. One of the things that I struggle with, I'm just admitting all my flaws today. One of the things that I struggle with is I am confident in my ability to speak, just like we talked about before. Mm-hmm. But man, it really gets to me. And I have a really big problem whenever I can't get someone that I'm talking to understand what the F I'm trying to say. Like, how else can I put into English words what I'm trying to say? Like, what about this are you not getting? That's what I'm thinking to myself. How are you not? Because I understand exactly what I'm saying to you, but how are you not getting it? And what I had to learn, and what I'm still learning is that I might be able to explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you.
Right.
And if the way that you are explaining to someone, it's the way you explain it is actually less important than the ability for them to understand it. Them understanding it is more important than your ability to explain it. So if you have to leverage the relationship with someone else, like if I might say to Dwayne, here's what I got going on. This is what I've said. This is what I've done. But so-and-so is not understanding me. Can you please help me? And maybe Dwayne, listen, I've seen people come in and Dwayne could come in and say the exact same damn thing that I said. And the person goes, oh, well, why didn't you just say that before?
It's the golden throat. It's the deep, manly voice. I don't know. The charisma. I'm not sure what it is.
Sometimes, listen, look, I don't know much about the spirit realm. I don't know much about intuition. I don't know much about frequencies that people give off, but we all know that all those things are there. We can't touch, taste, smell, see those things. But I know that people give off a frequency. We've talked about this before. Look, I might be able to get through to 95% of the world, but 5% is not going to get Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
And Dwayne might be the person that I need to come in there and just say the exact damn look. As long, I don't care if he says the exact same thing. It's a little frustrating. I get it, but all that matters is that the person understands, and I can move them to a point to where I want them to move them to. So explain to your parents, if these are the people who are the most critical, explain that even though they have the best intentions for you, that it's not being received as such, and offer them a better way of handling it. If that still doesn't work, guys, and your relationship is important to you, well, then consider someone different or consider a professional counselor. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to avoid people that are overly critical. Now, overly critical often have a lot in common with the next person that you want to avoid in your life. Mm-hmm. The next person you want to avoid in your life are people who are jealous or envious of you.
Yeah.
And I tell you, man, sometimes that's your sister. Sometimes that's your brother. Sometimes that's a person you call best friend. Yeah. Sometimes that's your parent.
Yeah.
You know, move away from people that are jealous or envious of you. Now, I know this might seem quite obvious, right? But sometimes the signs of a jealous person are actually quite subtle. Who in your guys' life are the people that you notice that's always trying to outdo you? The ones always that Dwayne and I were just talking about. Who's trying to always outstage you?
Yeah.
There's another that's just another obvious sign of jealousy in a person. Every time you share good news, they immediately tell you about something that's just more amazing than what you said. Yep. When you share some bad news, it's greeted with even more bad news and one-ups your bad news.
Yep.
These are the people that I'm talking about. Are you guys getting it now? Are you starting to go, hold on. Okay, well, now that could be so-and-so, and that could be so-and-so. So one thing that can happen without you even noticing is a jealous person can sabotage your life either directly or indirectly. Or even worse, they'll question you and your success and happiness. They're jealous of you. So if you are successful in anything, they'll question your damn success.
Yeah.
They'll question your, don't you dare have a good relationship with someone because it's only because of fill in the blank.
Yep.
Dwayne, Brenda, right? Is it Brenda?
Brandy.
Dwayne
I call her Brenda sometimes. It's spicy.
Yeah. Dwayne and Brandy, I mean, they're only good for each other because Dwayne lies to her and blah blah blah. Like this is jealousy. That's Don't be envious. It's a bad look on you. Okay, you definitely don't want to do that. Okay, because when someone questions your success or your happiness, so much so, you might start finding yourself questioning your own worthiness.
Yeah,
and you don't want to do that. I don't want you guys to get out there and fight the freaking world. Be successful in something. You're finally happy with it. And then you got some jealous, envious douche nozzle that's questioning why you're even there. And then that makes you wonder if you're even worthy enough of this success. You know what? I don't even deserve to be happy. That's not the kind of mindset I want you guys to have. I want you to be happy and be proud of your guys' successes. So you see, jealous people, Dwayne, don't believe that you deserve happiness. They don't believe you've earned your success,
right?
That you've earned your accomplishments. Jealous people, really, honestly, they want you to fail because misery loves company. Yeah. So do your very best, guys, to stay away from envious or jealous people. Now, as I've mentioned, you're really only as good as the company that you keep. And I firmly believe that from time to time, you should reevaluate your relationships, okay? Are there people in your life right now who exhibit one or more of the traits that Dwayne and I have talked about today? Because if so, you might want to start avoiding them now.
Or are you one of those people that exhibits those? I mean, this, again, the show is, to, again, get advice with other people, but also if you're exhibiting some of those things, like if somebody gets a promotion or they're wealthy, or that's just because they were born into a rich family. I mean, sometimes it may be true, right. Or they're a certain skin tone, or they had this, or they did that. That's not, I mean, that, I have an old saying, and it's not mine, but if you point at somebody and you're pointing your finger at them, you got three fingers pointing right back at you. You need to do that self-introspection and go, maybe, and that's one of the things, I mean, when I was in college, it's one of the things I learned is whenever something happens, you reflect on it and go, what did I contribute to the issue? Am I exhibiting those behaviors? And, sometimes you are, and to be a better person, you need to, work through that. But there are times where you're that person that you may be egotistical. You may be, when your brother, sister, cousin, friend, whatever gets a, hot new girlfriend, boyfriend, new car, whatever. And, outside the tongue in cheek joking, oh, wow, I'm jealous or whatever, but going, oh, wow, that car is, got a bad EPA rating or, whatever that is, you have those people. And if you're doing those things, you may want to not do that.
Yeah. I mean, you got a new Camaro? Did you get the so-and-so series Camaro? No, I just got the other one. My friend that I know got the Camaro, but he got the other series. It's like, okay.
That's an example right there. That's a perfect example of how, and if you do those things, I would just say stop. Learn not to do that. Because I got a better car, or that person, or, or conversely, I have I'm not able to see my kids, or I'm getting nailed in child support, or, in the equal shared parenting community, those questions come up and then they go, oh, well, my story's even worse. Really? I mean, look inward, it's not about you. And
if you guys want to grow, and I know you guys do, looking inward is the hardest thing to do, but it's probably the most important. Now I've got one final one, and I left the best for last. But before we go there, let me remind you guys, if you guys don't mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on Facebook, on YouTube. Make sure you share it with people that you think could benefit from listening to this podcast. Every time you share it, it helps the algorithms, and more people it gets put in front of. Also in the comment section.
Yeah. And I got one too. I don't know if we're going to have the same last one, but if not, I may have one more.
Okay.
It's one of my favorites.
So he says, never being enough is exactly how he felt with his ex-wife. Brian says, another type I can't stand is the self-absorbed type, is the one upper type. Those that no matter what you have done, they always do it better. Yeah. The one upper. Yep. Clover says criticism must be measured and the tone should be gentle. A good approach would be to start with a compliment about the person's strength and with suggestion rather than direct criticism. Yep. She's using the sandwich method. Yep. Very good. And Jeff says, I've done it all before. And then Clover ends it off with, when our children become adults, we must be sensitive to their weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Rather than be tempted to be critical, I recommend a therapist that gives them an opportunity to be open and honest and get feedback from a neutral professional. And Tony from Coffee House says, hi. Tony.
Hi.
How are you, sir? Bring the Big Show podcast some coffee, Tony. That sounds good. Now, Dwayne, what was yours? I've got one last one. I'm curious to see if it matches.
If it's the same one, I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to be the asshole. Stay away from people that ask you for your advice and then they don't take it.
Right.
Jimmy, I'm fat. My blood pressure is high. Blah blah blah. What can I do, dude? You need to cut out your soda drinking, your vaping, your cheeseburger issues, and get to the gym and do this. And then next week,
sounds awfully familiar, Dwayne.
That's why I threw it out there. I give you
awfully familiar.
I've been God, there's so many. I can't get a better job. Well, dude, you need to get, find out what you want to do. You can get a certification. There's these things you can do to figure out kind of what you're geared to do. And you can go get your college education. You can do this. You can do, work more hours or whatever. And then next month, well, I just can't, or I don't have enough money. Well, can you get a second job? Well, or this is one that I tell people all the time. I'm having issues, seeing my kids, or I'm getting divorced, or, well, hey, you can go to pissedoffparent.com. You can go here. There's all these free resources that's on the site, and educate yourself and get the forms and do this. And then, 2 months later, same, I can't do it,
Same problem, just a different month.
Yeah. That I affectionately refer to them as the assholes. Because you're telling the same advice over and over and over. They're never going to listen. They're wanting sympathy. They're wanting you to say, "Oh yeah, that sucks." Okay, and not because again, guys, we normally you present an issue to us, we immediately go to well, this is how you fix it. I can't fit in my pants. Well, get off your fat ass and go to the gym.
Yep, exactly. I call them people succubuses.
Succubuses, yeah.
And what I've noticed about those types of people is they don't really want solutions to problems. They just want shoulders to cry on.
Yeah. They want to whine about. We got Tony's Coffee House. We've got a new tagline: right. Assholes.
Yeah.
But
the last one on my list is direct. This is for the men out there. Okay, this one's for the men. And I'm going to go ahead and say this might be the most important type of person to stay away from. Disrespectful women.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Disrespectful women. Guys, look. Okay, we want love. We want respect. And when you poll men and you give them the choice of either one or the other, they want both. But if you have to choose which one's more important to most men, men will say that they would prefer they're respected than they're loved. Now, they want both, but women would prefer to be loved more than respected. Men would prefer to be respected more than loved.
Yeah. We
have a very tough time dealing with disrespectful women. So I'm going to touch on I'm going to take a little bit of time on this topic to give some advice on how to identify and how to handle disrespectful women.
Get your pen and papers out, boys and girls.
Get your pen and papers, guys, because you know the feeling. She's not giving you the respect that you deserve, and it's making you feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe she thinks that you're beneath her. Perhaps she takes pleasure in putting you down, or possibly she doesn't even realize that she's doing it.
Sounds like one of your things earlier in the whole that has to one up you, is always critical of you. I mean, those in romantic relationships, this is all in there.
Whatever the case may be, if it's any of those three, doesn't matter. This behavior has to end, okay? But how do you deal with this situation? Now, trust me when I say this, okay? I've dated some disrespectful women, and I've dated more than one. It's hard to identify disrespectful women initially because they're on their best behavior.
Right.
But when you start to see the trend, you've got to jump out in front of it before that flow gets a little too big. Okay. So how do you deal with this situation? What can you do to put it into a woman disrespecting you? This topic, Dwayne, this is a common question I get asked a lot. And probably one of the most questions I get asked about when I do male improvement is about women and about, kind of not, remember I said mostly questions about women and not about the personal improvement.
Right.
This is kind of what I get a lot. So I get it. I mean, women are an important part of our lives and an important part of our happinesses. Since men prefer more direct messages, here it is. Here's direct and to the point. If for those of you who don't want to hear the whole entire lecture I'm about to give, if you're with a woman that is disrespectful, leave her and move on to one that shows more respect. There's the quick version of it. There's a quick version of it.
Yep.
Now, since most men I speak with seem to follow up on my advice with, I get it, Jimmy, but I really, really love this one, so how do I change? I mean, I know she's got her flaws, but if she would just change here and there, I think we can get along a lot better. Cool. All right. If you guys want to go down the tough road, I'll go down the tough road with you. The easy road is just if she's disrespectful, man, draw your line. If she keeps crossing lines, get rid of her. But if you guys want to try to work through it, fair enough. Here's how you do it. Okay. I'm going to spend a little more time on this last type of person that you should avoid and give you guys some tips on how to handle this type if you insist on giving her a chance to change. So here are the ways of communicating that help build trust and understanding without lowering your standards or compromising your values. The first thing you guys want to do is you want to distinguish between disrespect and the behavior that you don't like. Those are not always the same things, okay?
Yeah.
If you want to end the cycle of disrespect, you can't react to every single thing that she does that you don't like.
Ding, ding,
If
ding,
you
ding, ding.
do, you'll come across as overly sensitive. You don't want to be a guy. Listen, you don't want to be a pushover, but you also don't want to be pegged as the guy who has a hissy fit every time some girl does something that he doesn't like. When she's being disrespectful, however, you want to draw the line, like I said. What's that?
Oh, I was doing a little sign language to avoid the profanity filter. You don't want to be a.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to draw the line. You want to show her that you're not going to put up with that kind of behavior. Okay. Another thing you want to do is you want to communicate your boundaries clearly when everyone, you included, is calm. Communication is key to any relationship. I know you already know that, but it's especially important when you're dealing with a woman who's disrespecting you. You need to let her know your boundaries and your expectations. This is probably best done when everyone is calm, everyone is happy.
Do you tell her to calm down?
Look her in the eye and say, you should probably calm down. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Abort mission.
The disrespect will come flying at you like daggers. So when she's not annoyed, when you're not annoyed, when you guys are both not angry, have the conversation. This will allow you to communicate your thoughts in a more calm and effective manner rather than just reacting to her disrespectful behavior.
Right.
If you're not clear, guys, about your expectations, it can lead to miscommunications.
Right.
If you don't let her know what you consider to be disrespectful, then there's no way for her to correct the situation.
Right.
Remember earlier when I said, hey, you can be a good communicator, but if it's not being received, then that doesn't matter how good of a communicator you are. What matters most is that it's being received. Even in this situation, if you don't let her know what you consider to be disrespectful, then how would she know she's disrespecting you?
Right.
Because if all you do is just fly off at the handle every time she takes you off center, she just thinks you're some overly emotional jackwagon. You've got to say, hey, the reason why I get a little perturbed is because when you say this, it's disrespectful to me.
Right.
You might run into a case where she goes, my family always says that.
Yeah.
My dad and my brothers don't mind at all. I've been growing up with guys the entire time I've been alive. I've never had a man tell me that was disrespectful. I didn't know. And it's just a miscommunication. So by letting her know where you stand, you allow her to change her actions and correct her behavior. So try that. Another thing you want to do is show her that you're a confident man. If you're not confident in yourself, some women may take advantage of this. So when she disrespects you and you don't stand up for yourself, you're essentially saying, I don't deserve respect. You're also saying, I'm not comfortable asserting myself. So a confident man doesn't expect to be treated a certain way. He knows he deserves to be treated better. He knows he deserves to be treated a certain way. And if you don't stand up for yourself, she will sense your discomfort. And when she senses you're not comfortable asserting yourself, she'll take advantage of this. Okay. So Don't be a jerk, be assertive. The next one I want you to a next tip to correct the disrespect is to lead by example. It's up to you to set the precedence for how you want to be treated. Right. It's a good idea to lead by example. By this, I mean treat others and yourself as you wish to be treated. Now, notice I said treat others and yourself as you wish to be treated. If you don't respect yourself, you can't expect others to respect you.
Right.
Another one is confront the behavior you don't like directly. One of the things that guys complain about all the time is how women are not direct with their words. They'll go around about and they'll expect you to fill in the blanks. Don't do the same thing. Confront the behavior that you don't like directly. If you've spoken to her in a calm time, as I suggested earlier, but the disrespect continues without an apology, you may need to confront the behavior you don't like directly. Look, maybe she's fed up with you. For some reason, maybe she's tired of your shit. But it doesn't mean that you have to put up with it. It doesn't mean you should have to put up with it. Right. It might be a good time to employ, as Clover pointed out earlier, the sandwich technique. Let me explain. The sandwich technique means that you start your sentence with something positive. Let her know what you don't like, then end your sentence with something positive again. You sandwich the negativity, for lack of better words, with two positive things. Start with something positive. Say something like, hey, babe, listen, I want to let you know I'm so happy that we met. And I really love how great you do at taking care of the family. You do such a great job at keeping everyone happy and healthy. There is one thing, though, I want to talk to you about. I notice from time to time, whenever I'm asking the kids to go to bed at 8:30, sometimes you'll go ahead of me and say, no, it's fine. You can stay up till 9. Look, babe, I don't want to put some rules out there just for you to overtake my rule. Let's talk about those things in private, because it comes across a little bit disrespectful whenever you are not, appreciating the standard in which I set. But look, at the end of the day, I'm happy. You're a fantastic mom. I love you to death. And I'm so excited to live this life with you. Something like that, guys. I'm just throwing this out the top of my head, okay? Right. I'm sure you guys can make it sound probably better than what I did. But that's what the sandwich method is. This shows her that you're open to communication and that you're not there to pick a fight. Okay. Right. If you just go directly at her, then you kind of sound like the overly critical guy that we told you to watch out for. Give her a compliment. Talk about the disrespect, give her a compliment, and it lets her know that you're not looking for a freaking fight. Another thing you guys want to do whenever you're trying to kind of overtake that disrespect is to be firm but not aggressive. Okay. Right. Yeah. When you're confronting the behavior that you don't like, you want to be firm, but don't be overly aggressive. You don't want to be rude or demeaning, but you do need to be assertive. Women love men who are assertive. You need to be comfortable letting her know when she's crossing the line. Look, I know it doesn't sound logical, okay? But understand that women run their logic through their emotions first. Right. They like it when a man is assertive and he is setting boundaries. They love that stuff. If you never set boundaries, she's going to run wild and she'll lose some respect for you. If you lay down the boundaries, but you're not aggressive or rude about it, she'll respect you for that. Get comfortable letting her know when she's crossing the line, when she's being rude or interrupting you, talking over you. You don't have to take that disrespect. You can say something like, look, babe, I appreciate your input, but I'm not done speaking. Whatever your response, you have to maintain your cool while not being a pushover. So right. A lot of times, like one of my small pet peeves, and if any of the women that I've ever dated is listening to this, then they will know that whenever we're talking, I kind of get into this little mode. I know where I'm going with my communication. And if they jump in and talk over me, I go, hey, let me land here. Let me land. I'm almost there. Okay. I promise I'll open up I want to hear what you have to say, but if you don't mind, I find it a little disrespectful when you talk over me. Just let me please land here. Let me finish. So Another one that you want to do to try to overcome the disrespect is ask questions to get to the root of the problem here. When you guys are having a conversation, it can be really easy to forget that you're also establishing mutual respect. So what may be disrespectful to you may not be disrespectful to her. It's kind of what I was talking about earlier.
Right.
So when she makes a comment that you find disrespectful, try asking her about it. Again, make sure it's polite and calm. You can ask her, hey, babe, I didn't quite understand what you meant. Could you please explain that? Or explain that while you have a different opinion, and to let her know that you don't want to argue. The goal is to develop mutual respect. It's not to prove that she's wrong. It's not to get into an argument. It's not to throw shade. It's not to demean. Asking questions is a great way of achieving this. Also, avoid reacting emotionally. Yeah. Whenever you have to confront her and she's being disrespectful, try not to get emotionally involved. You don't want to come across as intense or overly sensitive. This isn't the time for you to lose your cool. It's not the time for you to start arguing with her. You have so much more on the line than just a few minutes of your, day. So just don't get overly emotional about this. Also, don't expect her to automatically change her behavior because you had one conversation with her. Okay. People are rooted in their behaviors, and that's done over decades. Just because you were able to talk to her about one thing doesn't mean that she's now going to change and be the princess you've always wanted her to be. Habits, whether they're good or bad, they can be difficult to change. So don't expect her to change her tune immediately. It'll take some time. You got to be patient. Just politely let her know when she disrespects you, and eventually it should subside, okay? And then finally, if all else fails, I go right back to my short version earlier. Guys, don't be afraid to walk away if the disrespect persists. If a woman continues to disrespect you after you have politely let her know, after you've tried all the steps, after you've done this rodeo for weeks and months, you must be prepared to walk away from the relationship. I know that it could seem harsh. And as the old saying goes, there's plenty of fish in the sea. When Dwayne and I are talking off camera, that's one of the things he says a lot. There's 7 billion people in this world, and half of them are females. There's plenty of fish. Okay. Yeah. There's no need for any man or any woman to put up with constant disrespectful behavior. So to conclude, there are many ways to deal with a woman who's disrespecting you. The first step is to identify the type of disrespect you're experiencing. Then it's to decide which one of these strategies I kind of pointed out would work best in your situation. Some or all could work. It all depends on you. And remember, you don't have to put up with any kind of disrespect, and ignoring it is unlikely. It's unlikely it's going to go away if you ignore it. So by communicating your expectations and confronting the behavior you don't like, you'll have a chance to end this type of behavior. So those are my tips, Dwayne, on how to handle a disrespectful person. And for the guys, it's mostly about the disrespectful women. Thoughts, comments? What you thinking there?
Yeah, two of them really. One is the whole disrespect thing, and you.
Hold on. Brandy, it just logged on all the way from Vegas. Brandy,
she's sober-ish.
Yeah, Brandy, type in the comment section how many adult beverages you've had so far today. I need to know right now.
I told her she needs to keep her blood alcohol content above 2 or 0.2 the entire time she's there. I want her
above that,
above 2.0 or whatever twice the legal limit. Have fun, knock yourself out. Oh, only 3. Whatever.
Only 3.
She, you know what? I guess she's getting older. She can't quite keep up anymore. It's okay. When you reach a woman of her age, I'm totally just.
You know what? I have a feeling that we should have done this podcast on deceit and lies. Lies.
She's like, well, I see 3. I don't know.
She's like 3.
Oh, she had
3, 6, 9.
She had hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, the hurricanes. Yeah,
oh boy,
that's a good choice.
we have stories on hurricanes and an unfortunate hotel experience. I don't know if we can share that type of fun stuff.
I remember the story that I think you're talking about.
Yeah, somebody got blackout drunk and it wasn't her.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a hotel in Louisiana I don't think I'm allowed to go to anymore. But I don't remember it happening. There was this physical evidence, and long story short, for the gang out
there was physical evidence, weren't there?
There was physical evidence. So yeah, short story long, whatever. Went to a wedding in Louisiana. It was an open bar. I had many libations that evening. And the next morning I woke up just my normal. I've been blessed with not having hangovers up until I turned 50, apparently. And Brandy was a little like not upset with me, but she was a little quieter than normal. You know, she was just kind of like, okay.
She was like this when you woke up.
Yeah. And
staring at you.
She was not mad at me, but she was just kind of like, we're going to talk about what happened last night.
Do you remember what you did last night?
That's how the conversation started. And I woke up and I'm like, well, I'm clothed. I was on the bed. Or actually I was able to get out of most of my clothes, you know. And she's like, I can't believe I'm saying this on live.
I can't believe you're sharing this story right now live on TV.
I have
on
many.
Facebook. So go up. I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah. Oh no. And I'm sure the viewership will go up. But yeah, she goes, you pissed in the corner. And I went, no, I didn't. That's absurd. I would never do something like that. And she's like, oh yeah, you did. And I'm like, no, that you know, she's messing with me. She's lying to me or whatever. And I blacked out. Maybe I don't know. We were still at the bar when I officially blacked out, so I'm really unsure how I got home. That's a whole different story. But when the next morning, when we're talking about it, she's like, so. Me being the investigative person that I am, I got up, I walked over to the area and touched
the crime scene.
And sure enough, there was moisture in that general vicinity.
Oh my God.
And then I remembered like a half a second of that event, and the TV was right here, and apparently the bathroom was over here. I forgot where I was at. And yeah, then it happened. So yeah, that was one of my many. There's Todd's comment. Urinals look different at different places. Yeah, I mean, Louisiana urinals. I mean, who knows? Yeah, I have many.
You've got support.
Many stories. And yeah, that was one of our funny ones. Another one, actually on the way back. This goes into showing just how evil my wife is. So we're driving back the next day, and when we got ready, she told me, I put on a pair of shorts and I was like, wow, these are super loose. And I was like, I've lost weight. That is weird because I drank a lot that evening. And
I see a common denominator here.
Yeah, there is one there. But she goes, oh yeah, I bought you the next size up. And it was a magical size. I said, I don't care what happens. I will never be a size 40. I will never get that fat. I just won't. This is my mental. That's where I'm at. I'll do whatever I got to do to not get there. And she's like, and she goes, yeah, I bought you a pair of shorts and it's a size 40. I drove for about 3-4 hours and that's all I thought about the entire time. And then when we get to the gas station, I'm like, I'm going to the bathroom. And that was the first thing I did. I went in the bathroom, pulled my shorts down. They were 38s. And I come out there and she is just laughing her ass off. And she knows that she caught me. So yeah, that's one of the many stories that Brady and I share. And talking about like the respect thing and all that. I mean, Brady and I've actually had some recent conversations about our earlier part of our relationship, and a lot of what you said rang true because she was in we'll just call it a very unhealthy relationship with her first marriage. And when she met me, which she defines as a real man, everyone can, real man, not real man, whatever. She believes it, and that's all I care about. And one of the things she told me, she did not have any idea of how to have a relationship with a real man. She had no clue. I mean, and so like when we would get into arguments earlier on in our relationship, she would expect certain things to happen when the argument started, and I didn't do those things. I did your advice before I even knew you, because that's how men. I mean, you learn how to deal with that. And she's like, "That's weird." And then I would come back later and calmly conversate, talk about the what happened, and then she'd be like, "Huh." And then over time, she exhibited those qualities, and this is how I handled myself, and all that. And she learned, she fell into her role, and I of course had my role, and it worked out. And here we are, today, joking about me peeing in corners, and in Louisiana. And we have shenanigans all the time, which is awesome. And we have a fun, people say we're in an adult relationship. There's nothing adult about our relationship. We're two crazy teenagers that act goofy all the time. We're, and happy. And I wish that for everybody. It took me 3 tries to get there. I've married Sola 3 times, and, Brandy's definitely a great woman. And, we had our building. We have had our challenges. We have our challenges. And I would just, tell everybody, I mean, there hopefully is someone out there for you. If you're not with that person now, I hope, you will be or whatever, but it is a great thing when it happens. But yeah,
it is, man. I mean, there's nothing better than having just a great chemistry, a great friendship, with a woman, and, you come home and your heart, your soul feels at peace. You're not worried about what she's doing, what she's saying. She's yours. She knows that you are hers, and it's just a special thing, man. I really wish that for everybody. And guys, gals, look, I mean, the world is tough. I know it is. It's challenging out there. There's some really bad people in this world, but there's some really good ones also. If you guys are struggling, listen to some of these podcasts. I've got a lot of experience here. Hopefully this material that I'm showing you guys is valuable to you, and you guys are, digesting it. If you have to go back and reread it and take notes, man, then do what you have to do. But make sure that the types of people that you surround yourself with are people who are bringing you up and not pulling you down. Life is tough enough as it is. Make sure that the spouse that you pick, there's no more important decision that you'll ever make on this planet than choosing the spouse that you decide to be with. She or he will ruin your life or make your life worthwhile depending on who you chose. And so a lot of these tips, a lot of these advices are because I've failed at these things, or I've heard failures, and it just a lot of anecdotal experience, a lot of research be put into this. And these are not ironclad. You do this and it's guaranteed success, but these are going to put you above the bell curve and put you in front of the right people. And with a little bit of luck and a little bit of work on your end, you'll get what you want. Also, guys, before we go, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And also remember, this week is the John Mast trial. And Eric Carroll is going to be filming and streaming live from the courthouse. He got permission by the judge to film it. I believe the filming starts somewhere in the morning time. I want to say 10 in the morning on this Tuesday. Okay, so he'll be streaming live. You guys make sure that whenever you hear that bell go off, you kind of watch what's going on. It's a really interesting trial. It's a heartbreaker, but it's just another way that Dad Talk Today supports the guys and they advocate for men. Dwayne, is there anything else you want to say before we adjourn?
No, I mean, again, 10 a.m. Central on Tuesday. All the comments that I made about that trial are my personal opinion based on what I've seen and read. It has no reflection, anything else. I guess I got to cover all of that. I'd made some comments earlier on about just some of the things that were happening that worked with that, about some about lying and whatever. Based on everything I saw, my personal opinion is kind of that's the way I read it. Maybe wrong. More information may come out in the trial that I wasn't aware of. Again, presumed innocent until a jury of his peers determine otherwise, and all the other fun stuff. But yeah, those are my personal opinions. I just want to go on the record saying that. But be sure to tune in. again, listen to this podcast and all the other ones, and take notes. And again, Jimmy really wants everyone to do better than be a better person than they were the previous day. Have successful relationships, celebrate successes, work on the failures, and continually improve. I would, if you could, in the note or in the comments or out there, shoot him hey, thanks, man, for doing putting the time in, the effort, getting on here, bearing it all. Listen to this old guy talk about peeing in corners, all the crazy stuff you do. I wanted to, thank you for, keeping all this going and talking about that and all the research that you do and giving me a chance to be the goofy guy that I am. So it's all fun, but thank you. But outside of that, I think this is a good one. Time to close. Be sure to watch the mass trial starting Tuesday, 10 a.m.
And we'll see you guys next week here, Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week.